7 years ago, I went backpacking in the Sangre Cristo Mountains, the Philmont Scout Ranch. We carried 50 or 60 pounds every day. I came away from that experience with a vow never to carry that much weight again. Well, I'm about to head up into the Pecos wilderness here. Business brought me out to the area, and so I'm going to spend a weekend backpacking up in there, carrying a lot less than 50 or 60 pounds. So come along for the hike. I'll be talking about some gear that I've got, in particular the 2013 do-it-yourself GrizzBridge hammock. So let's go for a hike. So I'm heading up what's called the Windsor Trail. It goes along the Windsor Creek. We go through a mixture of pine trees and aspens. Really very pretty here. I'm going to talk up this pack now. This is a Gossamer Gear Kumo. Some very nice features about it. One is the mesh pocket in front. They're not the only ones that have that, but it's a requirement for me. I stick all sorts of things that I'm going to want on the trail. My water filtration system's in there, wind shirt, a little bit of insulation if I should need that. I have pockets on the side, which are suitably sized for an Elgin if you carry those. Other things, one of my water bottles will fit in there as well. Some shock cord compression. Something novel here is the way that one closes the top and then roll it down and fasten it. You can also take the shock cord from the side, compression from the side, and bring it along and hook it together. So I put my socks up there, for example, when I'm drying them. Something else I have is airframe support for the pack. It slides out quite easily and makes a very nice sit pad. It's inflatable, has a bulb right here that you can use to inflate it, and a valve to let the air out, and it pops out easily and uneasily. Something else I like about my packing system is I've integrated a front pack. It's made by ZPacks. My main use is as a front pack here. The interesting thing is that it has attachment points at the corners that match almost identically in distance attachment points that happen to be on this particular pack, and so when it's on, it's up against my chest and is held snug. The material's interesting. It's a bonded cuben fiber which keeps the water out to some kind of durable nylon, which makes it well, durable. So I like this. Gives me a little place to hang things like my compass and temperature, and all in all, it's very handy to have up in front of me, something where I can fish out a map or fish out a water bottle without having to stop. Very nice. I like to have side pockets on my hip belt to stick in things that I need for easy access. For larger packs, Gossamer Gear puts a little bit of Velcro on the belt itself, and then has a Velcro tab on the pocket so that it'll stick. Doesn't have that with this particular pack, and so I did a mod putting some Omni tape on there, and so the pocket will stay in place. Pecos Wilderness, it's official. It appears there be scavengers in these here hills. Gained about 1,000 feet in elevation now. I can treat it to a view. I think the trail is relatively flat now for a good piece, and so if I pick up the pace, I just might make it to Lake Stewart while the sun's still shining. We'll see. Well, it wasn't I surprised. I had another 1,000 feet of elevation to get, but I'm up that on 6.5 miles Lake Stewart. I should just be down and around the bend. The light is fading, but I think I'm going to make it down there where I can still see. So it's been a good first day. So I pulled into Lake Stewart late last night, about 9 o'clock. It was dark. Fortunately, there's lots of great hanging sites here that I could find in the dark with a flashlight. Still have some snow on the ground in some spots. I'm going to make some breakfast now and then head on up to Lake Katherine. One of the areas I have historically over-provisioned in is clothing. For this particular trip, I needed to be prepared for nighttime lows in the mid to low 30s with daytime highs in the 70s. The system that I adopted for that is a merino mill wool base layer. For the next layer of warmth, a wind shirt. If I need more than that, I have a lightweight insulated vest. And as a last resort, which would go underneath some of this, would be a lightweight wool shirt. And if really need be, I have also my parka, which I could put on top to trap heat. Now, when I go to bed, what I will wear is silk long johns, both top and bottom, a possum down hat, always, beanie, dry wool socks, and if needed, some silk glove liners. And so that's all, and I will make do with that. Well, of course, I've got my pants here, the best hiking pants I ever had, but that's all that I need, and in fact, this would be enough to keep me going for a week, provided that people that were with me didn't mind me stinking, and I had an opportunity every now and then to wash my base layer. I'm at the juncture now to climb up to Lake Katherine. Stewart Lake's off in that direction, 0.6 of a mile. Lake Katherine's up that way, 2.5 miles. Behind me, nice stream. At Philmont, I carried a water pump that weighed 2 pounds. Nowadays, I carry something that weighs mere ounces. So this is a Steripen Freedom Adventurer. Interesting thing about this, it has a rechargeable battery. Between charges, it'll filter 40 liters, and we'll show you how this works shortly. As a backup system, always have a backup system, aqua mirror, so it's light and very portable. When I put water in to my system, I put it in a Nalgene canteen, and then I will clean it with the Steripen. Sometimes it's necessary to pre-filter it, so I carry a bit of mesh to go over the top, and I also carry a foldable bowl, lightweight, and so in those situations where I can't cause the water to pour into the bottle, I can dip it into the bottle. So let's go see how this works now. Put the Steripen down into the water. You start to stir. And I'm hoping that you can see the flashing green light. So that says that it's doing what it does, and it will flash for about 40 seconds. And when it's done, it'll turn a bright green. Now the light is solid green, which means that it has cleansed half a liter. So you take it out, you rinse the diodes, you put it back in, and you do it again. Takes a couple of minutes all told. On the Philmont trip, I used a bladder with hose so I could sip water as I went along. That's very convenient, but it does add weight, and so one of the ways that I have taken to saving some weight is to put my water in bottles. So here's the water recently cleansed. One nice thing about the canteen is it has a stiff ridge, so I can grasp it and just pour it, and you will have seen that I have a front pack, and a bottle of water rides in the front pack, so it's easily accessible and is pretty convenient. Have a look now at the personal gear. A little micro light towel. I've got my bear bag hanging system. I use the PCT method. A little bit of extra cord, always handy. Spare glasses. When you're as blind as I am, you have to have spare glasses. A long-handled spoon so that I can deep down into freezer-dried meals. Some matches. I have here some things for toiletries, including a short little toothbrush, but you will notice that I did not drill out the handle. I've got some meds and earplugs, and I've got tooth floss, always handy to have, toothbrush, and a tiny little bit lighter. Other things you find in here is a first aid kit and an emergency blanket. The first aid kit's very rudimentary, has moleskin Has bandages, has gauze, has antiseptic. We've got also in this some bug spray, some sunscreen, and some skin moisturizer because it gets very dry up here, and also some lip balm. And that's pretty much it for the personal stuff. That's one area where you can really cut down on things. Go minimum. Oh, I forgot. So it's in the holster. So this is a light my fire Boris style knife. It's got a fire lighter in it as well. I don't mess around when I go in the woods. I'm not going to go in with a razor blade. I'm going to go in with a tool. Always handy to have this, and I have it on my person. Notice it was difficult to get it off my person. So if anything were to happen to the pack, I would still have that. So GPS tells me I'm at the end of Lake Katherine here. Really pretty. Had to come through some snow coming up here. Did a little post holing here and there. But this is going to be a fun place to explore. So for lunch I'm going to boil up some water here with my JetBoil and make some audacious tortilla soup. I really like cooking systems where I can mix burning wood or burning alcohol. But coming up here into the Pecos, there's a fire ban on, and so I needed to do something else. So I picked up something that's called a JetBoil Sol, and I am surprised at how well I like this. It does all sorts of things that are really, really neat. So it boils 16 ounces. This bottom bit right here serves as a cup, which is perfect for my oatmeal in the morning. It has a lid on the top that has a sipper, and so I can use this also as my mug. Boil up some water, put in some tea, and then I can use it as my mug. Otherwise, it's very much like any other JetBoil that you've seen. It all fits into this one compact package, and as JetBoil always does, it boils the water that you need very, very fast. So if I have to go someplace where they're not going to let me burn wood or alcohol in open flame, then this is a very nice piece of gear and is surprisingly lightweight. So Lake Katherine is a wee bit smaller than I had expected. Very pretty up here. Don't think I'll be staying though. I think I will poke around a bit and probably head back down out of altitude. We're at 11,600 feet right now. Here's the 2003 version of the GrizzBridge. It's fairly lightweight. I've made it lightweight in a number of ways. One is to use only cord as suspension. The cord is 7/16 amp steel. The hammock body itself is 1.9 ripstop, so nothing unusual there. It is using Gossamer Gear LT4 hiking poles as spreader bar. That really helps a lot to cut down on the weight. Another way to cut down on the weight is to only have end caps where you need them. So I have only enough end cap there to keep my pillow from falling out down at the foot end. I don't need that. The suspension line that comes along the hammock body overlaps with the suspension line that comes down along the suspension triangle. And so they are spliced on this side and on that side. and I have created a gap there where one can stick something through. And so what we stuck through here is a wire nut. We've seen the wire nuts before. This one had to have a little bit of modification though to be sure that the cords stay put, and that's to do a little carving. See if you can see that, a little carving right in there on both sides, and it's just enough to make it grab, and so that's quite good. What we're using here is the LT4 with the camera mount option, and that's just perfect for slipping between those two ends of the cord. Now, things that I've done to support that include putting some tape over this rough bit so that it's not tearing up cord, and also to put a bit of tubing over the threads here so that the face that could hit the tarp is both wider and softer than it would be if it was just a nut. So in my sleeping system, the top quilt is a HammockGear's quilt. I think it's one of the early ones. It should be good down to 30 degrees or so. And beneath I have my very own underquilt. It is almost entirely cuben. Cuben on both sides. It has fabric on the two ends to cause it to breathe. It lofts, and so that will be perfectly adequate for the temperatures I can expect up here. Oh, and let us not forget the pillow. As Shug has said famously, the paca makes a perfect pillow. And indeed, my paca does, and so it does dual use. Finally, the last bit of gear is a HammockGear winter tarp. It is pitched wide now, give nice clearance for the spreader bars of the bridge hammock. It can be brought down in closer, and when one does that, then you need to be careful as you're entering the hammock to try and keep it from tilting very much. All packed up and ready to hit the trail again. You know, packing light is definitely